everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing another S.H.Figuarts Naruto. This is the S.H.Figuarts Naruto Uzumaki Kurama Link Mode, Courageous Strength That Binds. I'm pretty much just going to be calling it Kurama Link Mode or Biju Mode, depending on my mood, but I'm not going to be calling it the full name. Now this is the latest Naruto release, and I believe it's the first P-Bandai release from the new line of Naruto figures. And you can sort of see why, because it's a more limited character, they're not as sought after as you'd imagine some of the others, and there's a lot going on with this figure in terms of accessories and style, so it sort of feels more premium than a standard figure, even if it does share a bit in common with the rest of the line. Now, the Kurama Link mode isn't my favourite form. I do like the initial sort of like Chakra Link mode that he has without the coat, because I like that sort of like style of Naruto, and I can imagine they'll do a repaint of the standard 3.0 figure at some point. And I liked the Rikudo Sennin 6 Paths mode that he had at the end. I really like that look. This one is sort of in between those in terms of my favorite sort of Kurama transformations for him. But I can see why they went with this one instead of the other two, especially if they plan to make even more figures later on. So taken out of the box, here's what Kurama Link Naruto comes with, and it's a pretty good loadout, I'd say. So we've got the figure itself, we've got 5 faces, a bunch of different hands, a charged Rasengan, or like a giant Rasengan, as well as the Rasen Shuriken. We also have another sort of palette of hands. These are for the actual putting the Rasengan in the hands, as well as the Biju Dama Tailed Beast Bomb in his hands. So it's nice to have a good chunk of options, and we will be looking at all of it. So taken out of the box, here is Kurama Link Naruto, and this figure with the Mecha Frieza and the Metal Cooler, it's one of the most painted figures that I've seen Figuarts do. I am glad that there is that breakup of like a fully painted figure every now and again, because Figuarts and Tamashii Nations have been more and more relying on bare plastic just to keep costs down, I'd assume, and it is generally pretty good because then there's less paint to chip when you move them around, but sometimes it can feel a bit like a cheap shot just because like there's mismatches in plastic colors as well as the styles, and it can get a little bit annoying. But this is not one of those figures. There is paint all over it. There's some beautiful shiny yellows, some beautiful oranges, some great blacks, and just all of the line work and detail on everything looks so good. I do like the high gloss that they've chosen for the figure. It makes it seem like it's shining, which it probably should, like it's glowing, it's Kurama's power. And all of the sculpt work of the actual like flames coming off of Naruto look really good. Depending on the pose you've got him in, it does look a bit weird with all the flames going all different which ways, but generally I think it looks good. It is also fairly easy to break the sculpt, and that's because of the dark black lines throughout all his yellow suit, as well as the yellow lines throughout the black, and you just sort of need to play around with it. It is easy to break the sculpt, like I said, but you can line it back up fairly easily, thankfully, because of all the solid lines. Before we move on, here is the Kurama Link Naruto next to the 3.0. So you can see they're effectively the same sort of figure, especially in the lower half, and they stack up about the same size, which is good. Kurama Link Naruto has different size hands completely, and I think that's so they're easier to swap out, but also look bigger visually, like you can see the detail of the hands and the pose that they're in, because a lot of that can be lost in all of this yellow. Here he is next to the S.H.Figuarts Obito, as well as the Jada Toys Ryu, so you can see how he stacks up with other figures in the line, and as well as just other action figures. Anyway, moving right along to posability, there is a ball joint at the head and neck, which allows for a good amount of motion. It is a little bit limited by the collar, but the collar is bendy, so it's fine. The headband ribbon can move up and down. His arms can move out that far normally. They can butterfly forward pretty well. And you can bend them out with a little bit of work. Sometimes the paint can get a little bit too in the way of the joint, but a little bit of work can get it going. There is an upper arm swivel, bend at the elbow, and bulge hinge at the wrist. The lower coat is a soft plastic, so it can bend out of the way without much issue. There's a ball joint at the chest, which allows for a decent amount of rotation, crunching, all sorts. He can kick forward that far and back that far, which I don't think is as good as the base Naruto, but it's still pretty good. There's a thigh swivel, bend at the knee, as well as a pivot at the ankle and bend at the toe. And of course that little other swivel at the lower leg. I'm not sure if I recorded it on camera, but he does have that because this is that same sort of leg design from the other S.H.Figuarts Naruto figures. In terms of faces, he has 5 faces, so we've got a neutral determined look out of the box, which looks really, really good. We've got a teeth-gritted smiling face, which is asymmetrical and I think looks really, really good. He's got a comedic yelling face. He's got a sage mode face where the cross has appeared on his eyes and the rims around his eyes have got that sage mode sort of detail. And he's got a teeth-gritted angry face. All of these look really, really good, and all of the paintwork is consistent amongst all of them. I love the transition between all of the yellows and orange on this figure. They've put so much work into it and I really, really like it. But with all of those faces, the tailed beast bomb and the Rasengan, you can have a lot of fun with this figure. He can get a really good dynamic range, and he wasn't really hard to put into any of these poses. Just had a little bit of trouble putting in the Rasengan hands just because I didn't want to break the plastic peg that is coming out of his hands, because instead of the Rasengan's having a peg and you clicking it in a hole on his hand, it's the reverse, so there's a hole in the Rasengan and you need to pop it in. I feel like this was a very conscious choice that they had, not because of figures not being compatible with each other, but more so you could throw the Rasen Shuriken and have some dynamic poses like that. I believe the Sage Mode Naruto that is coming out later in the year also has a similar feature. But he looks good in pretty much any pose, or again, he just looks incredibly vibrant and expressive, and he's just a joy to play around with. Have basically no complaints about this figure. I mean, we get 2 Rasengans as well as the tailed beast bomb in both hands. You get a bunch of different options. The plastic quality feels good, all of the paint is good, and all the faces are great. I don't really know what else they could have done for this figure. They've really nailed everything. That's how I also feel about the upcoming Sage Mode Naruto. It looks like he comes with everything he needs, so I'm keen for more Naruto figures. Consistently, all of the Naruto figures come with the accessories they need, but we'll see later on if something changes. Hopefully it doesn't. But the Dragon Ball line could take a page out of them, as well as the One Piece line. But generally I have no complaints about this figure. It is just fantastic. Highly recommend it, especially if you have been collecting the Naruto line so far. It is worthy of being the first P-Bandai release from the new set, and I'm keen to see what they do for further figures. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.